بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, Majesties, Excellencies, President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, may the peace of God be upon you all. At the beginning of my statement, I would like to congratulate Mr. Jabek Kairoshi on his election to be President of the 77th session of the General Assembly. We wish you every success. I would like to thank Mr. Abdallah Shahid for his efforts during his presidency of the past presidency. And I would like to also welcome the well-advised efforts of the Secretary General of the United Nations in order to optimize United Nations action to achieve the goals of the Charter. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reaffirms its attachment to the UN Charter and our constant support for the rules of international law aimed at preserving international peace and security, and to cooperate on the basis of mutual respect and respecting the sovereignty of states through peaceful means, and to abstain from threatening force or using force. My country participated in the building of the United Nations. We were there for the Charter of San Francisco, based on the teachings of our Islamic religion and our Arab traditions that are about justice, favor, peace and dialogue. The Kingdom has always supported international multilateral action according to United Nations principles to strengthen international cooperation given the challenges that our world faces. My country actively participates in all efforts for a more just, peaceful world and for a better future for our peoples and future generations. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, keen as we are to achieve the UN goals and preserve international peace and security, reiterates our call for reform of the Security Council so that it can be fairer and more representative of today's world and more effective as it accompanies changes in the world and is able to address common challenges. With regard to the wars that we're seeing in the world, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia stresses the need for reason, the voice of reason and wisdom. Dialogue, negotiation and peaceful solutions are what is required to silence the guns, protect civilians and provide prospects for development and peace. We welcome all efforts that can bring about a political solution to put an end to the Russian-Ukrainian crisis in order to stop the fighting and preserve international and regional peace and security. In order to overcome challenges and ensure stability and prosperity, and also in order to bring about global economic development, we need to pool our efforts, forge partnerships and have an exchange of cultures and civilizations. In the Middle East, Mr. President, we need to combine efforts to reaffirm stability, to ensure better future that is commensurate with the aspirations of our peoples. The Jeddah Summit for Security and Development that saw the participation of the US and 9 Arab states was the opportunity to confirm collective action for a better world in the region for our peoples and for our countries. We fully support the UN in finding peaceful solutions to strengthen international and regional activities and strengthen cooperation based on the respect of sovereignty of states and non-interference in internal affairs, and respecting the independence and territorial integrity and the values and cultures of countries. Diversity is a source of wealth. Security and stability in the Middle East also require a just and global solution for the Palestinian question. For a Palestinian state, according to the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. We condemn all unilateral measures that would affect this solution, and we call for their immediate cessation. With regard to Yemen, we repeat our commitment towards efforts to bring about a truce and to allow the President to fully play their role and to bring about peace according to the resolutions of the Security Council 22.6. We continue to play our key role to meet the humanitarian and development needs of Yemen, and we stress on the need to lift obstacles with regard to the inflow of basic foodstuffs and aid, and also roads need to be opened near Taiz, the third country of the city of the country which has been under siege for so long. We also support security and stability in Iraq, and we have reinforced our bilateral and collective relationship with that country, particularly electricity between our two countries. My country insists that Security Council resolutions must be respected for the unity and stability and the Arab nature of Syria, and we support the efforts of the Special Envoy of the Secretary General to bring about a political solution to that conflict, according to 2254 of 2015 Security Council resolution. We need to prevent a further outbreak of violence and protect the ceasefire agreements, and also ensure that humanitarian assistance can arrive to all Syrians unhindered. My country also supports the sovereignty, stability of Libya, and we call for economic structural reforms that will help this country to come out of its current crisis. It should not be a breeding ground for terrorists or drug trafficking or other criminal activities that would threaten peace and stability in the region. It's important that the Libyan government extend its power throughout the country, respecting relevant resolutions of the Security Council and also the Taif Agreement. The Kingdom continues to deploy all of its efforts to encourage the parties of Sudan towards dialogue for a prosperous future. We also reiterate our support for the water needs of Egypt and Sudan. We support the ceasefire agreement between the Libyan parties, and we call upon Libyans to ensure the departure of all foreign fighters and mercenaries without delay, according to relevant Security Council resolutions. We also repeat the importance of supporting the delivery of aid to Afghanistan. Afghanistan must not become a basis for terrorist operations or a breeding ground for terrorists. International peace and security cannot be brought about by the arms race, but much rather by states cooperating together towards progress. We call upon the international community to intensify efforts to counter proliferation of weapons and to make the Middle East exempt from these weapons, an area free of these weapons. We fully cooperate with the IAEA in order to adopt serious measures to build confidence with our neighbors in the international community. Mr. President, humanity is facing common challenges with regard to the economy post-COVID, and the availability of food and energy and supply chain, and also environmental challenges. Our capacity to overcome these challenges very much depends on our cooperation and rethinking in the world that is balanced and fair. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is aware of the importance of addressing the challenges of climate change and of responding to its deleterious effects. And here we attach particular importance and make great contributions to the Paris Agreement on climate change, and we believe in a gradual and responsible change towards diversified energy sources that are more sustainable. Achieving these goals requires everyone's participation, bearing in mind the different circumstances nationally and regionally, as well as the different socio-economic situations of countries, and the world energy situation and everyone's access to that energy. In order to reaffirm our pioneer role in the area of sustainability, we launched a green initiative in the region, and we've announced ambitious goals to diversify sources of energy and to optimize consumption and production. We've also launched initiatives to protect the environment, protect green areas, and reduce emissions annually by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060 through the circular carbon economy and in accordance with the development plan of the Kingdom. My country is also aware that we need to support the world economy by contributing to a balance on the energy markets. We need to invest in fossil fuels and clean energy in future decades in order to meet the growing international needs and to meet the needs of consumers and producers, to avoid the negative consequences of unrealistic policies aimed at excluding the main source of energy that would have negative consequences on world supply chains, on inflation, particularly energy prices, on unemployment, and would have other security and socioeconomic damage. And in order to slow down the effects of the war on food security, the painful effects, and to achieve the SDGs in 2030, we plan to eradicate poverty. To do that, we need to facilitate the export of cereals and other food, because the price of food is increasing and that is risking famine. My country contributes greatly to this aspect, and the total assistance in agricultural aid is now 2.8 billion US dollars. And Saudi Arabia, with our brothers in the region, has announced a 10 billion contribution for national and regional development funds. Mr. President, the international community is also fighting terrorism and extremism. We must continue to work relentlessly to address this scourge which is affecting our region. The international community must show itself firm with states that support terrorism and extremism and that attempt to use their extremist ideology to expand and to destroy. The Kingdom is continuing its efforts for progress and development to protect the future of and strengthen the abilities of men and women to innovate and to be open to dialogue and tolerance. My country attaches great importance to human rights with explicit texts to protect those rights. My country has also announced legislation for 2030 with regard to better practices and international standards aligned with the commitments of the Kingdom internationally. With regard to this future ambitious vision, my country is a candidate for hosting Expo 2030. An air of change. If we succeed in that candidacy, we would like to make this exhibition closer to the idea for which it was created, namely technology and the future. We thank the countries that have supported us in our candidacy. In conclusion, we hope that our efforts will make it possible to get across our message to the world in a spirit of partnership and respect for a better world and humanity in its entirety. May the peace of God be upon you. Thank you.